wonderful. Yeah, describe what it was like growing up near an urban oil drilling site and what that meant for you.
When you're growing up next to an urban oil well, everything is different. It's not your typical neighbor that wakes up at 5 in the morning to mow their lawn or stays up all night blasting music. It's growing up next to a toxic silent killer where your life is constantly on the line. And that's something I wouldn't wish on anyone, and that's why we're fighting so hard within communities to permanently end urban oil drilling.
Can you just describe the practicalities of the problem for you? You were getting such terrible nosebleeds as a child. You knew something was wrong.
Yeah, so when I was 9, I started getting really sick. It started with a nosebleed, and my nosebleeds became so intense I could no longer sleep in my own bed. I would sleep in a chair to prevent choking on my own blood at night. Body spasms where my mom would have to carry me from one place to the other. Heart palpitations, and I used a heart monitor for several weeks. The list goes on and on. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with asthma. That's something I'm always going to have to live with and navigate. And at the age of 19, I was diagnosed with reproductive cancer.
You knew something was wrong at the age when most people really aren't worried about the greater world. They're worried about, I don't know, pocket money or ice cream.
Yeah.
You went out and campaigned. What was that like? You were campaigning from the age of 9.
Yeah, within my mom and I, we have knocked on over 1,700 doors in our communities. We can tell you everyone's names and their pet names and their food allergies. It was the love for our community that made us stand up and fight and raise our fists in the air to demand our basic human rights of breathing clean air in our communities. And since then, I've never looked back. I'm just like any other 23-year-old. I just found my passion much earlier in life.
The message you got out had an impact. That's important. We've talked about, you know, some of the sadness of your story, but there's great happiness too. Without much resources, you have managed to change the law and the local situation.
So the oil well that I grew up 30 feet from is now permanently closed, and the city of Los Angeles is the largest urban oil fields in the United States. And 2 years ago, the city council and county board voted unanimously to ban all new oil well exploration and phase out the existing sites, which is historic change that was made possible by frontline communities and community-based organizations saying enough is enough and we deserve to breathe clean air.
So finally, what will be your message for any young person who wants to change the local situation or maybe the global situation? They're worried about the future because of climate change. What would you say to them?
Knowing that you are able and you are capable of creating change. Your story is enough. Your knowledge is enough, and you deserve, and your story deserves to be heard. No one can tell you your story is not enough. Knowing that if you are doing everything you can to fight for our earth, that's what we need. And I'm very aware that urban oil extraction is an odd cup of tea. It was my upbringing that led me to that, but we need people talking about sea level rise, and we need people designing sustainable designs. Anything that lights up that fire in your belly, find a way to connect it back to the earth.
Perfect. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.